Ladies and gentlemen from across the world, welcome back to the Hard Count. My name is Cade. That's my boy Brandon. And we are the Hard Count. We got a great episode for you guys today. Action-packed throughout the entire thing. Let me list off our segments. So for the first one, we got this or that. I'm going to give hypothetical scenarios. For example, will X team have X amount of wins, or will X team make the playoffs? It's very simple. Brandon and I will choose, ask each other questions on what's more likely to happen. Next, college football clashes. We're going to name our favorite games, our top 3 games for this next week, which is going to be week 2 in college football. Following that, we have college football top 25, higher or lower. Which team, if they're ranked, let's say Iowa's at 21, do I think they'll be higher or lower by the end of the season? Higher, better, lower, worse? And then finally, NFL hot takes. I mean, the spiciest takes out here known to man. Me and Brandon got some hot ones for you guys today. And they're going to be off the chain, off the cuff. And we're going to start at the top. It's going to be this or that. I'm going to ask Brandon a question. Brandon, introduce yourself first. Say, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. You know, we're just here. College football's back. NFL starts in 2 days. Well, by the time you're watching this, 1 day probably. So we're excited. We're here. Everybody's excited. Football's completely back, baby.
Oh, my.
What a time to be alive.
We're so back. And with that being said, I got a juicy question for you, Brandon. This or that. Let's kick off this segment. Brandon, this is my question. The Colorado Buffaloes. We saw how they played in week 1 against North Dakota State. Will Colorado finish with less than 8 wins on the season? Or will USC and the Trojans compete in the college football playoffs? Lots to unpack there. I'll let you take it away.
Well, that is a lot. I mean, both things could happen. I think that's pretty easy. I'm going to go with USC makes the college football playoffs. I mean, listen, I think it's more likely that Colorado loses 8 games. I'm not saying that it's got to happen. If, they could still win 8 games and USC makes the playoffs, but one's more likely. I think the Trojans make a push and get a bid to the college football playoffs, 12-team league, because everybody saw probably the game of the week. That no was, doubt. Sunday night? I mean, absolutely spectacular. You couldn't take your eyes off it. You didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it came out that the USC team put on 1,400 pounds as a whole team. That's not just something you just do as a football team, okay? That has to be commitment. That's a team-driven thing. I don't know. There's a lot going on over there in South California. Now, the Buffaloes scared you a little bit. The Buffaloes, you kind of watched that game and you thought, it could lose this. Now, NDSU is not a bad team by any chance. This is not like they're losing to, UTEP, right? So this is not a scrub team. This is
UTEP.
Yeah, this is sorry, UTEP, but NDSU has been known to break some hearts. Okay, so it wasn't an easy battle, and we knew it was going to probably be a closer game than maybe Shedeur Sanders thought. I like Shedeur Sanders. I like Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, bid for the Heisman, insane. Okay.
He's on his way.
He's on his way. But I loved what I saw from Miller Moss and that Trojans offense. I wasn't expecting what I saw from the USC. I wasn't expecting that close a game. I was expecting to be a little bit more back and forth. But, I mean, to see them put up what they did against LSU, which is an established team, they have a great defense. They have stars all around. Nussmeier did great. It wasn't like they got a bad LSU team on a bad night. They played great. It's just USC got the better of them. And
that's right.
If you beat a team like that in a neutral field, I mean, who knows? The sky's the limit. Lincoln Riley, you never know. They got a pocket passing quarterback. It's exciting to watch USC, and then it's exciting to watch LSU. Both those teams, they could see each other again.
Ooh.
You never know.
In the playoffs?
In the playoffs. Very much could happen. I don't know. Okay, what do you think? Just real quick, because I know it was my question, but, what do you think?
I think you hit it right on the nail. Colorado scared a lot of people. We know they got top-tier talent, but the rest of the depth was nowhere to be seen. That was supposed to be the year 2 step. We maybe were overreacting to one game, but it was not there. Did you see it? Because I didn't.
Yeah, No, I just saw Shiloh Sanders might get ejected in a couple games because my goodness, dude, you don't have to kill the dude. That dude is a family. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the way how, like, finishing plays and stuff like that. But some of those, the dude is on the sideline getting water after a play, and that dude just, bang, just comes out of nowhere. And you're like, bro, relax. The 3rd and 6. Like, it's all right. You got him. They're 4 yards behind the first down. No, it's fine. But finish through, baby. Yeah. But no, I like that. I think we both agree on that. Now, I get to ask you the question of, is it more likely that Michigan makes it back to the Big Ten championship?
Okay.
Back. Okay. We don't necessarily say win, but back to the Big Ten championship because we know they've lived there because they're easy road all the way. But now we got the new players in town.
Yes.
Is it more likely they make it to the Big Ten championship, or Nebraska wins more than 7 games or ends the season ranked?
Oh, okay. So 8 or
let's just say ends the 8. Let's move it to 8 wins because that's more exciting than 7.
Okay, but you said above 7, so that's going to be 8, right? Just double check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take this in perspective. Michigan's still a very good football team, but like you said, Brandon, this Big 12, Big 10 is packed this year, and the Oregon Ducks were supposed to be the big contender. They looked a little bit shaky, just like the Wolverines last weekend. So let's look at Nebraska's schedule just to go through it. What ranked opponents do they have left? Ohio State, that's an L. USC, from what I saw, Brandon, I don't know about you, man, that's an L.
Yeah.
Iowa, chalk it up. And then you got the rest of the Big Ten. You're probably going to lose 1 or 2 of those there. I'm going to say, and it pains me to say it, I haven't seen enough out of Nebraska because another straight UTEP. They beat the tar out of UTEP 40-7. That doesn't tell me shit. But they play Colorado this weekend. I don't know if that'll tell me anything either. Yeah. And then they play Northern Iowa. So we're not going to know this until at least October if they're good or not. Yeah. I'm going to go with Big Ten. The Big Ten Championship with the Wolverines. A horrible sight to see for me, of course, but they're a talented team, a deep roster, and they still have some very good playmakers on that roster as well. That's my answer, Brandon. What are your thoughts on this question? Because you can really go either way.
No, I agree. I mean, the Big Ten, it's arguably the best conference in the league this year. You never know. You don't know. It's early. Relax. Okay, I know. SEC ball is SEC ball, but it's not a bad thing to say the Big Ten is a harder division, right? It's not like it's saying like the Pac-12 last year is better than the SEC. That's not that crazy. Well, that's crazy, but like it's not crazy. The Big Ten is right next to the SEC.
Pac-12 was great last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Great,
right? So, you said that we're not going to find out a lot from Nebraska these next 2 weeks, which is fair. You could say the same for like Ole Miss. They don't play anybody until like week 5. Like they don't play anybody until like LSU, arguably like Arkansas, and like week 5, 6.
That's
so you're not going to know.
Arkansas.
Yeah. So, LSU is like a ranked opponent. Either way, we're getting off track. We'll touch on Ole Miss later, but I'm saying I'm excited to watch Dylan Raiola. That's how I want to see him play against a team like Colorado, right? They have the stars. They have this. There's going to be more than an abundance of America watching that game, right?
That's a good point.
So, I'm not saying we're going to see what Nebraska is as a whole team. They might lose that game, but Raiola could look great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a true freshman. So let's say he puts up 3 more touchdowns. A lot to look forward to for Nebraska. I mean, you got coming years for him. But I do think Michigan to the Big Ten is more likely to happen than an 8-win Nebraska team, just because they're a fresh team, rules finally getting established in Nebraska.
Yep.
Now, next year, we might be having a different conversation about Nebraska. Nebraska
totally
could be insane next year. We never know. And we don't know. They could just blow the Buffaloes out of the water. Never know.
They could.
But I agree with you.
Coach.
Rule can turn a program around, clearly. But I like what you said.
Okay.
Give me Michigan, sadly. But
Pain.
Michigan makes the Big Ten championship.
Pain, but respect is due when you got to give it to them. And, Brandon, here's our final question for this or that. This one's kind of a doozy, so hold on. Put your seatbelt on. Oregon misses the college football playoffs because they just had the game against Idaho.
Yeah.
and almost lost. Or hold on for this one. Georgia Tech makes the college football playoffs. And before you speak, I want to put this in perspective. This is the Georgia Tech remaining schedule. They have these are the ranked opponents they have left. 22, Louisville. Notre Dame, 5. Notre Dame plays no one the rest of the season besides them pretty much and one other team. Miami, NC State, and Georgia. So they're going to have their competition. They can prove their worth. Obviously, you're probably going to have a couple of L's in there too because those are hard teams. But if you're in a dogfight with some of these teams, could you get in? Brandon, let's shake from here.
Now, I like Georgia Tech. I like what I saw. That quarterback can sling it. He can run it. He's beast, right?
Yeah.
Do I just think it's a little unlikely that a team like Georgia Tech makes it to the 12 team the first year of the 12 team.
You're probably right.
And what I saw from Oregon, like narrowly escaping Idaho. Now, don't get me wrong, Dylan Gabriel looked great. If you look at his stat line blindly, you'd be like, "Oh, dude, Oregon dropped probably 40 on him." No, it was 24 to 14. And it wasn't 24 until the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of worry now. It's first week. I'm sure the Ducks are like, "We'll let them shake off, let them get in a groove, right?" But they're in the Big Ten now. Now, if you look at the schedule, there's not that many ranked teams in the Big Ten. It's still the Big Ten. Okay,
that's true.
The Big Ten will punch you in the mouth if you sleep on them. It doesn't matter. They got Boise State next week or this coming week. They just the running back just dropped 6 touchdowns or something like that. Something insane.
Yeah.
Oregon State, they lost a lot, but there's some good things about Oregon State, I guess. I don't know. Either way, you get kind of down into the depths and you play Michigan State. You play Ohio State. You play Purdue. I don't know. All these teams that could very easily punch Oregon in the mouth just as hard.
Yeah.
I think
Purdue's
it's very likely. Yeah. They will ruin your season.
Easy.
Then you got at Michigan. Of course, you have Illinois in there, but you have at Michigan. That's never fun. Maryland, they'll compete with you any day of the week. And then Wisconsin, and you're finishing out with Washington. That's a rivalry game. That could go either way.
You're right.
I think it's more likely that the Ducks miss the playoffs because of I love Georgia Tech. Don't get me wrong. They just have you play 3 ranked teams in the back, or 4 ranked teams
Brandon.
in the last 5. Well, yeah, you play 5 ranked teams total, but in the last 5 games, you play 4 ranked. And now, don't get me wrong, 3 of those are at home, thank God. But you got to, for the final week, let's say you are on the cusp, right? Let's say you somehow blow up and you win, and you're winning games. You got to go into Athens, Georgia, and prove your worth. Now, if they win that game, welcome to the college football playoffs, right? But I don't see that happening. I see Miami being a great team. NC State, I think they got a good one against Florida State. They kind of put them on their ass. But, Florida State's shaping up to be a big bust this season.
Dude.
They already are. They've lost 2 straight. They're not ranked anymore. They're probably not going to be ranked again.
It's wraps.
So it's wraps for them. But Georgia Tech just has a gauntlet in the back half. So, I think it's more likely that the Oregon Ducks miss the playoffs. What about you?
I totally agree. I'm not even going to waste their time. Everything you said, I totally agree. That's one hell. Like you said, if they beat, what a way to end the season. You're in the playoffs. You're playing Georgia at their house. Most teams in the playoffs will never experience that kind of competitiveness and that atmosphere. I don't know, man. If they even fight somewhat in that game, throw them in the playoffs. But you said, they'll earn it with that alone. I'm going with Oregon at the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What's next? What do we got next going on?
Next is going to be a segment we like to call College Football Clashes. So that simply means Brandon and I are taking our favorite 3 games of next week. It's going to be week 2 of college football. And we're going to talk about them because we're excited about college football. And it just keeps getting better and better and better with this new 12-team format. So many teams are in the running, and some are emerging as dark horses, and then some are falling off the maps like Florida State, as we know. So I'm going to throw this to Brandon for his top 3 games. We can go back and forth, Brandon. You can do all 3 of yours. It's really up to you.
Let's just go back and forth. I think that'd be easy.
I love that.
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. So I'm going to start it off with the game that I'm going to be watching the most closely, the near dear and heart to my heart. It's Arkansas coming to Boone Pickens to face the Cowboys. Okay,
SEC action?
That's something when the schedule dropped. Mark that on the calendar. Now, if I wasn't going to visit the Bears, I'd probably be at that game. Okay, but bad down.
Bow down.
No, I'm very, very excited for this game. Not only because it's an SEC opponent, and you know the committee's going to be watching because they're Oklahoma State. They're not in a lot of predictions to make it all the way, right? It's the Utes, it's someone else, it's K-State. They kind of just shove us aside, like we haven't been in the Big 12 championship for the past 3 years, or 2 out of the 3 years. Either way, we have Ollie Gordon, best running back in the league. Period. Okay, and they looked good against South Dakota State. Now you could be saying, "Oh, South Dakota State." Well, they were undefeated and they were champs for the past 2 years or something like that in their FCS division. Okay, now it's a big game because we're ranked. Oklahoma State is ranked. Arkansas is not ranked currently. They're fighting, and they know they put a whooping on Pine Bluff, Arkansas, something. Now, okay. Pine Bluff.
Community college.
Okay, yeah. Okay, they didn't really stand a chance. They're in Boone Pickens. That stadium's going to be loud. I think it's just going to be an electric game. It's going to be a little bit of back and forth. I think it's just going to be an exciting game. They're not both ranked, but it's SEC taking on the Big 12. It's a clash to prove maybe one of these SEC teams doesn't belong there. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Or
Crazy
maybe
idea.
I don't know.
Crazy
concept. With all the new teams moving around or anything like that, it's just helpful on the bid. But either way, obviously I want Oklahoma State to win this. I want them to put a beating, on those pigs over in Arkansas. I think it's a big game. I'm looking forward to it. Ollie Gordon versus this high flying offense what it looked like, of course, against Pine Bluff. It's the first real test for both of these teams, I think. That's something that we haven't experienced in Stillwater for a while, right? We've been playing a lot of Big 12 teams. We play a lot of we lost to Arizona State, or no, we play Arizona State occasionally, but they're in the conference now, so welcome, I guess. But I'm excited. It'll be a fun game. That one really gets me excited. I'll be watching at 11 o'clock Central Time. Cade, what about you? What's one of them that's really up there? I mean, there's a bunch this week.
There's a bunch. There's one that's bigger than the rest. I'm going to save that, of course, because you already know it. But the one you mentioned about 5 minutes ago, Boise State versus Oregon. Ashton Jeanty, the running back of Boise State, had 357 yards, I'm guessing here, but I'm probably right. 357 yards, 6 touchdowns. Not even one hand. I need 2 for that. 6 touchdowns. And only on 17 carries. He exploded on the scene against, I think it was Georgia Southern. Had a killer day. Oregon coming off a near loss to Idaho. That is never what you want to hear when you're a college football playoff contender. How does this shake out this week? I'm looking forward to just watching Ashton Jeanty versus the entire Oregon team. It's going to be so much fun. I think it's going to be a closer game than most imagine. Maybe not within 10 points, but enough to scare Oregon there for a second. If Ashton Jeanty gets hot, watch out. That's all I'm saying. It'll be a David versus Goliath situation, and I'll be in my seat. I think they play at 9 p.m. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I'll be watching past my bedtime just to watch Jeanty work.
I like that. Genty's coming for Ollie's Heisman. I don't like that, but
he kind of is. I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, hey, Ollie got 3 this week, and then I looked and it was like Jeanty got 6. I was like, what? Say, what do you mean?
Oh yeah.
No, I like that game. That game is going to be fun to watch. All these games that we have lined up are going to be just insane. I mean, they really treated us well. Okay, because usually the first week 0 or week 1 games, you're great.
It's fine.
And then you finally get to the NFL season, and then they really start getting in the conference play. But now they really just keep treating us well. And with that, we talked about it earlier. Like you said, my next game is a very big game for especially these two teams because I think they have a long-lasting rivalry. But it's Colorado versus Nebraska. This is a big game. Obviously, Shedeur and Travis Hunter always have the spotlight. No matter who they're playing, they're going to have the spotlight for the whole season. That's someone you're always going to keep your eye on. Shedeur, Travis Hunter, both potential top 5 picks. At least one of them is going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
I know my vote. It's probably Travis Hunter. But Shedeur looked great. And, you know, there's a bunch of excitement around Colorado once again. This is a team that just came off of a narrow victory versus North Dakota State. Not an easy team, as we said before, but now they're going into, I don't know the exact, Lincoln, Nebraska, I think it is. Pretty sure it's in Lincoln.
Yeah, it's in Lincoln.
Yeah, it's at Lincoln. Lincoln, Nebraska. Those fans are passionate. That's all they have there.
That's
so
all I got, man.
The entire state is going to be at that game. Okay, that's a rivalry. You listen to Will Compton on Bustin' with the Boys talk about it like every week, and you love it. But you love to see it. You know, there's going to be a bunch of players. It's just going to be a great game. All eyes are on Raiola, the future of Nebraska. This quarterback that, you know, has the potential of the sky's the limit for him.
Yes.
And then you have the established quarterback in Shedeur Sanders that we know is going to be good. But can Dion and Shedeur take that next step? And I think beating a Big Ten team like Nebraska, yes, they're up and coming, and it's not like you're beating Ohio State, but still a tough matchup. And I think eyes are on the quarterbacks, how they play. And then for Nebraska, is this finally a season that we can be hopeful for more than just a bowl game, more than just 6 wins? Maybe we're something real. Maybe we can compete in the Big Ten this year and not just get punched in the face.
Oh,
okay. So, and maybe I'm wrong. You never know. But it's both options. Can Colorado establish themselves as, hey, you know, we skim by, but let's dominate this team. Let's get on with it. Let's get to the Big 12 and let's coast. You know, let's try to take the Big 12. Same for Nebraska. Can we establish ourselves and beat an established Big 12 team and ride our way into the Big 10 series? And who knows what's going to happen there. Exciting game for both sides. Matt Rule versus Deion Sanders. Kind of, you know, if you would have said this 3 years ago, you probably would have laughed. Okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's an exciting game. So I'm excited for it. I'll be watching. Unless it interferes with Oklahoma State, but I'll be watching. Okay, we'll be watching. Okay, no, it's okay. Oklahoma State. We're gonna be done with that. So we're gonna go on. Cade, what do you got next?
Oh yeah. Before I move on, 6:30. Make sure you do not miss that game.
Yeah,
that is when you circle on the calendar. My next game is the game of the week, without a question. I don't know who cooked when they made this on the schedule, but it's a thing of beauty. The Texas Longhorns, ranked 3 overall in the nation, who have become a program, are taking it up all the way, coast to coast, maybe not coast, but somewhat coast to coast, all the way to Ann Arbor, Michigan, right smack dab in the middle of the mitten, ranked 10 overall, the Natty Champs, and it's going to be a dogfight. 11 a.m., I'm pretty sure it's big noon kickoff. That's what I'm looking at, Fox right here. Texas is favored by 7.5 on the road, especially after Michigan's stutterly start last week against, I don't even know who they played. I totally forgot. But it was not a good team. It looks sketchy. It looks scary. This one should be an absolute throwdown. This will see, where is Michigan at after their title run? They had a lot of good players go to the draft, and now they have a very good program remaining, but what is left and how well can they fend against a fantastic Texas team? Because we know Texas is the truth. They've been looking great this year, and it looked great last year. I don't know. There's no way anybody can text me to do anything. I've told my wife this for 3 months now. My butt will be in this couch. I don't care who calls, no matter what. I'm getting the crock pot going. I ain't moving. I'm watching every single second of this game. And if it's a blowout, I'm watching all of it. Brandon, do you have any thoughts on this game before I move forward?
No, I'm excited. This game is going to be fun to watch. You know, if anything that we know, or if there's any questions about Michigan, it's not about their defense. Okay,
that's right.
We know it's going to be, in my mind, it's Texas's offense versus Michigan's defense. That's kind of what it's going to be about, in my opinion. Now, this whole thing is insane. It's exciting. It's awesome. Texas's defense versus Michigan. it's just exciting, right? You got the
Oh.
reigning national title champions versus a runner-up in a way. They were in the
Yeah.
top 4, and they could have met last year. So you're right. They cooked. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching. I'll be in Chicago, but I'll make sure I find a seat for that game. Actually, I'll be flying. But we're going to be excited, and we're going to be watching. I'll be that is the challenge, right? It's 11, and then Oklahoma State's at 11 for me, so I'm going to be like kind of just commercial break. Okay, over here. Maybe one phone, maybe
You're
a
gonna
laptop.
be like a bar though, right? So you probably have like 2
Well,
TVs on.
I think I'll be on the plane. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, at the start of it, I think I'll be fine, right? Or
Okay.
we'll be up in the air for the start of it, and then we'll come down, and I'll be like, find me a like maybe we'll just sit at the airport. I'll be like, find me a TV. But
Hit the Chili's at the airport. Yeah.
hit the Chili's. I like it. But no, I like that. It's the best game of the week. I mean, no doubt.
Oh.
That's killer. Everybody in their grandmas is going to be watching that game.
Dude.
It just, biggest game of the week. Game of the week, no doubt. Moving to my final game that I'm most excited for. We got a bunch of smaller games. K-State plays like Tulane. That's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to the NC State hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. This is a big game.
Nice.
That's one of the few ranked versus ranked teams in this game. 6:30 start Central Time, and it's at NC State. Okay, so Tennessee, Llama looked great last week. Tennessee has got a lot of hope, and they've got a lot of excitement building around their team this year. They're young, they're fast. Even since Milton left, they're still fast. Squirrel White. Insane talent on that team. Now, NC State, not a team to sleep on.
Never.
And NC State is very scary, especially at home. I've never been to a North Carolina game, but I'd love to go. The Wolfpack seems like a hostile environment. Either way, that offense looked very fun to watch. I saw some highlights of that game. I didn't watch it, but that offense looked fun to watch, and that offense looked fast. Kind of what I said about the Texas-Michigan game. I'm looking mainly at the Tennessee defense versus the NC State offense. Again, it could go either way. I'm very excited for this game because it's a big ranked game, and either one of these teams can very well be in the college football playoffs come December. And so this game means a lot to both teams. You can't lose this game, either team.
You're not wrong.
So both these teams are going to be playing their heart out. NC State's got an easy schedule after Tennessee. The only ranked team they play until November 21st is Clemson. They play in 2 more weeks. But, I mean, if you go and beat Tennessee, you can very well go into Clemson and beat Clemson.
That's right.
And then they don't play Georgia. They don't play, a ranked team like Georgia Tech until November 21st. So they can easily, if they win this game, they could very well punch their tickets to the college football playoffs and be one of those later seed teams. You never know. So it's a big game for me. I'm excited. 6:30 start. Bunch of great games. That's one I'll be watching. Cade, what is your final thoughts on the third game for your teams this week?
Fantastic game right there, Brandon, but mine is pretty electric. So I could have gone Texas State versus UTSA, the I-35 rivalry, but no one really cares besides me. So I went with another one no one really cares about, but I care about. Baylor, the head coach, I think his name's Dave Armanda.
Armanda.
Thank you.
Armanda.
This dude's on the hot seat, right? And he goes against Utah at Utah's house. This could be the game where the seat gets really, really hot, and I like to see Baylor fail. I'm looking forward to this game. Baylor, Utah, you cannot miss it. That's my final game.
I like that. I'm looking forward to that game just in general. It's a Big 12 game. You never know. It is at Utah. That's a hostile environment. I've said it a lot, but that is I've never been, but I've heard great things about it. It's 2:30 start. It's a good game. Again, Baylor doesn't have a lot of hype this year.
No.
Around him, like you said, Armanda is on the hot seat. People will want him out, but he can save a couple weeks of talk and all that chatter, shut him up real quick if he goes into Utah and at least puts up a close game. If Utah wins by a field goal,
that's true.
it's kind of a welcome to the Big 12 Utah. Here's one of our crappier teams. Now go play some of our better teams.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Baylor's a bad team by any means. They just, they're just not expected to do much this year. Now, Baylor, go surprise me. Go knock off one of these top 12 teams and help Oklahoma State out if you can. But that's also why I'm doing it. But, no, it's an exciting game because a lot of stress on Utah. And it's kind of one of those where it's kind of like it almost feels like the Boston College game last night.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like Boston College, right? If we lose this game, I mean, it's big, right? It's big, but it's might mean more to Baylor.
That's right.
To win this game, and they might play harder, and Utah might go in there just kind of being like, all right, let's show up and let's beat these guys, and then Baylor comes out and smacks them. You never know. But I'm excited for that game. Should be a very exciting game. We got a lot of great matchups. I'm just looking at all this. It's exciting. It's an exciting time.
It's beautiful.
Let's move on to our higher or lower episode. Cade, do you want to start us off? So what we did is we took a handful of teams, 3 teams each, and we're gonna say if we're gonna say if they are gonna end the season higher or lower than their current status right now. So that could be an unranked team. That could be a ranked team right now in the top 10, top 12 that we think might finish lower or higher. You never know. But we're going to give you our honest opinions on these teams, 3 teams each. Okay, why don't you start it off with your number 1 team? What do you think about Iowa this year? Iowa State?
Yeah. So I was going to be at 21. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was at 21. A tough Big 10. I'm going to go higher, which means closer to 1. I would typically finish top 25 consistently. They're a very good team with a very good defense. Offense is always a question, but I do think they scooch at least a little bit closer, finish the season at like about 18, 17, 15. They're just a good football team, and they're going to figure it out. That's just my opinion, though. Brandon. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Utah at 11. Higher or lower?
Now, you've heard me if you've listened this far, we greatly appreciate it. Now, you've listened to me talk about Utah, and you know where I stand. I'm a Big 12 guy. I'm a Cowboys faithful. But
yes,
I would give a lot to see Utah not succeed this year, right? Okay? It would make me very happy. But they are ranked 11. That's very high. Even for the Big 12, that's very high. That's OU territory, Texas territory last year. And they're a great team. Don't get me wrong. I think the Big 12 is very competitive this year, and I think they finish a little lower. I don't, again, you could be like, there's a little biased. Yeah, could be a little biased, and I'm okay with that.
It's our show.
Obviously, in 2 weeks, they're coming to Boone Pickens. Okay,
Ooh.
So they gotta, and they go Baylor, Utah State, then they go at Oklahoma State, then they play Arizona right after.
That's a good.
So
team.
Those are 2 teams that showed out very well in week 1, and they have talent all around. You never know. I just think that one of those games slips from the Utes. Also, I don't know what their quarterback situation is like, but I know if Cam Rising goes down, it's not. It's for any starting quarterback. If any starting quarterback goes down, it's not great. But
no, never.
I think I don't know. I think the Big 12. Some of these teams can just slip on you in the weeks, and they get away from you, and they're high-scoring offenses. I just think they finish a little lower. I'm not saying they finish outside the top 25. I just don't think they finish higher than 11 this year.
I understand that.
If they do, or if they make the college football playoffs, I see them making it at like 12, or they maybe took the division. But I'm going to say lower. Cade, with that being said, I'm going to go to your second team. And how do you feel about Ole Miss this year? Number 6, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss
crazy.
At 6. Very good team.
Very good.
Rich for my blood. 6 is a very high rank. And being in the SEC, you're going to face a lot of good teams. And I don't think there's any way they survive. I think they finish with like 3 losses on the season. Still a great team. You don't sit at 6 after that kind of loss totalage. Let's go lower on the season. I think they'll be a little bit lower, more towards the 10 range, in my opinion, by the end of the season.
I like that. I agree.
Thank you. All right, I'm throwing it back to you, Brandon. Another Big 12 team. We got K-State, who's currently sitting at 17. Do they move up towards 1, Brandon, or more back down towards 25?
Well, I also have K-State moving a little bit back from 16.
Are you a hater?
Yeah. Everybody's reading this like, oh, okay, all right, Mr. Oklahoma State. Yeah, but I would definitely have the Utes finishing higher than K-State. I should put that out there. I just think, there's a lot of hard teams. They got to go to BYU. That's a hard place to play. They got to go to Colorado, to West Virginia, and then, they'll finish the year at Iowa State, which is never easy. They can lose a lot more games than people have imagined. And, like I said, Big 12's competitive. I just think they finish slightly lower. I think they're a talented team. I think they're going to be even maybe more talented next year. Mm-hmm. But I think this year there's just a lot of competition in the Big 12. That being said, I think the Utes, Arizona, and Oklahoma State are the big dogs. And don't get me wrong, K-State's a big dog, and they can be. But I just think there's a few missing pieces to really compete for that Big 12 title, per se. I could be wrong, but that's just my saying. I think K-State finishes slightly lower in the rankings than 16.
I like it.
Now,
I like it.
Do I have a question for you?
I got one for you.
Oh, you got.
Yeah, we'll finish off with me. Okay. This team just came off a massive win. I bite my tongue. I'd say the best win of the weekend. The USC Trojans take down the Louisiana State Tigers, and they currently sit at 13. Do you think they end up higher or lower?
Well, 13. That is no small number right there. Most
actually,
say lower.
Real quick, you're pretty much saying, are they going to make the playoffs or not?
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's very true. And let me tell you, the Trojans are making the playoffs. Okay, they are going to finish in the top 12, maybe even higher. I'm very excited for this team. If they stay completely healthy, which they look like they do, the running back looks fast. I should probably know the name a little bit better. I know he's a transfer from Mississippi State. Moss looks great.
Oh.
And don't get me wrong, you're going to know a lot by week 3 because that's when they go to Ann Arbor and play Michigan, right?
I can't wait.
That's the next massive game. Me and Cade are going to be talking about that next week. Don't get it wrong. Texas, Michigan first week. Now, Michigan goes through a gauntlet too, right? So this is Texas, then you get USC. Both at home, so favorable matchups if you're a Michigan player. But let's say USC goes in there and knocks off Michigan at home. That's a big welcome to the Big Ten if the LSU win wasn't already. Okay, so I think that USC is a very good team this year. They're just bigger. They're faster. They're a very strong team.
Oh, yeah.
And Miller Moss is slinging that ball around. And other than that, after Michigan, right, don't get me wrong, it's a Big Ten. We've said this multiple times. Big Ten, any time of the week, can compete and will punch in the mouth. But as ranked teams go, you're looking at Michigan, and then Penn State comes to L.A. in a couple weeks after that. And then after that, you finish the year at home versus Notre Dame. Okay, so that's that right there. If you win a handful of games and you only lose one of those games, maybe 2, you're still punching your ticket to that playoffs, especially if you beat one of those teams like Notre Dame who stays ranked in the top 10 because we know the committee loves Notre Dame in the top 10.
Love them.
And they don't play anybody until, the late in the season when Notre Dame has to walk into L.A. and prove that they are a college football playoff team. And the Trojans have to as well. I think the Trojans take that one. Give me the Trojans going far in the college football playoffs.
I'm fired up. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Now, with that being said, we're going to transition to Cade's final pick.
Ooh, what you got for me?
And this was a team that many thought this could be what I just said USC was, right?
Ooh.
Like a high-flying, fast what they were last year with arguably, some might say, Florida State fans mainly, probably, and Oregon State fans, a better quarterback, right?
Okay.
Supposedly.
Okay.
Does Florida State finish higher or lower than they currently do? And they sit unranked as the AP poll came out today. They sit unranked. Do they finish unranked even more? Like, I'm talking like not even, where it says like after you finish the 25, where it says like the paragraphs of considerations of votes.
With votes, yeah.
Yeah, like lower than that? Or do they fight their way back up into the top 25? What happens, Cade?
I think with full confidence, we can all say from watching DJ play quarterback, there's no shot in hell they finish with any votes by the end of the season. No offense to DJ.
No shot.
No shot. There's actually, I don't know why I'm saying no offense. That's complete offense. There's no shot they make it in the top 25 or anywhere close to by the end of the season. This team, overhyped, not what they were supposed to be. Period. End of discussion. I don't see it, Brandon. That's just me, though. I haven't seen any reason to believe in them since the season kicked off in Dublin.
Yep. No, I agree. I think this could be a major turning point in the FSU program. Unless they come out with a hire that's insane like next year, because honestly, I think that coach is gone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're looking at all these other teams that are Miami and, okay, mainly Miami and Florida. But,
yeah,
you're looking at those teams. I mean, and I'm a sophomore, junior playing at Florida State. I want to compete for a title. I want to go play for Miami. I want to, see ya. This could be a downfall for Florida State, so you never know. But I agree with you. Lower. Hammer the lower.
Hammer.
And let's move on to the final topic of discussion this week, which is the NFL hot takes. We each have 3 hot takes of the NFL to start this NFL season. We're very excited.
They're spicy.
We love it all, right? We're so excited for this season to come. Cade being a Detroit Lions fan, me being a Chicago Bears fan, you guys probably know it already if you're watching.
Is that on the wall? Is that what's behind you?
It is on the wall. There's a bear in my bathroom area, and then there's a bunch of bear stuff. Anyway, we got 3 hot takes. Now this is not going to be like 3 Bears hot takes and 3 Lions hot takes. We each just kind of created hot takes to potentially look back at the end of this season and be like, I might have been right about this. It's a hot take. It's supposed to be fun. You might not agree with us. We don't care. Okay, we're doing this for fun, but we also kind of believe that these things can happen.
For sure.
Because obviously there's no reason to tell you if we don't believe in ourselves and what we're telling you guys. So
that's right.
We believe in this to happen. Obviously it's for fun. But, Cade, what's your first NFL hot take to start off this wonderful season, which will be on Thursday night? Chiefs-Ravens. We're so excited.
Brandon, thank you for teeing me off. This hot take is extra spicy because last year, this quarterback had the following stats. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think.
Okay. 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 10-plus fumbles, and 2,800 yards. That is doo-doo trash high school quarterback stats. And that was the quarterback, Bryce Young, of the Carolina Panthers. Now, I am here to tell you for my hot take number 1, Bryce Young, that quarterback, will finish as a top 15 quarterback this year in the NFL. Bold. Let's talk about it. Head coach. This building has a horrible owner in David Tepper. That didn't change. Nothing we quite do about that. But they brought a new head coach named Dave Canales. He has had Geno Smith as an O coordinator and made him a very good player. I mean, Geno's been working his whole life to get back to this, but let's be honest. The coaching definitely helped. In the year Geno was with Dave, they looked phenomenal together and just clicked. Now, Geno got extended because of that year. He comes down to Tampa Bay to be the O coordinator. Baker Mayfield, career on the line, signs here, 1 year with Dave. Life turns around. Signs an extension as well. Great year. One of the best years, if not the best, out of Baker Mayfield. Now he comes to the Carolina Panthers. And his mission on the wall, everybody knows it, he likes Bryce Young. He's going to protect him and make sure he's a good quarterback because he believes in him and thinks he can make it work in his system. So what does he do? Go out and signs 2 of the best guards in all of free agency, pays them about $100 million a pop. Make sure they are protecting that interior D-line, interior line, so he can step up in the pocket and deliver those throws. And then he also trades for Deontay Johnson, a receiver that has great separation. So it's not just Adam Thielen fighting for his life. And then the draft, I think it's very clear. They drafted a first-round wide receiver in Leggett. I'm not saying he's going to be a showstopper, but at least it's something. They draft a tight end out of Texas. They draft a running back out of Texas. They're just taking all the skill players in the world. They want to make Bryce Young work, and I think it's going to happen. Dave is a very smart coach, and that is the path. It is there. It is on the road. It's going to be an uphill battle, but if he's got a shot, he's going to have a shot with Dave. That is my hot take number one. Brandon, I want to hear yours.
That was beautiful. I agree. I think it's absolutely. I think it's possible. I definitely think he could shock a lot of teams this year, especially in that NFC South division. You never know really right now what's going to come. But speaking of the NFC South, I'm going to have to talk about the NFC South a little bit more. I think that the New Orleans Saints can win the NFC South this year. Win the NFC South this year with their quarterback, none other than Spencer Rattler. Okay? Now, now, don't get me wrong, Derek Carr, not the greatest season for the Saints last year, okay? Dennis Allen, that was kind of ugly. Honestly, forgot their offensive coordinator last year. I don't know. Dennis Allen might have called plays. Either way, the Saints were not fun to watch at all. And I'm not going to lie, Derek Carr is no longer that much fun to watch. But the Saints still have those key pieces around. The Saints they still have Marshawn Lattimore on defense. They still have Cam Jordan on defense. He's still got like a couple years left, right?
Yeah.
The Saints always have a decent defense, right? They will compete. They're in the Dome. The Saints fans are passionate, and they will show up to that game or those games. But if you announce Spencer Rattler as a quarterback, you're going to sell tickets, okay? And that stadium's going to pack up because that dude had an exciting preseason. And all of Saints fans' Twitter is just blowing up Rattler, Rattler, Rattler. They love Rattler, right? And he has a lot of potential. There's potential there, especially with that offense with Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, who Dennis Allen doesn't really care for. And then, of course, Chris Olave, you got at wide receiver. And then they just got Jawan Johnson, I think, is the tight end. Either way, he was a stud last year. Taysom Hill. It's a fun offense to watch if you have the right guy. Speaking of the right guy, they just hired Clint Kubiak, which was the San Francisco 49ers passing game coordinator last year. And we know how those San Francisco 49ers coaches adapt the Kyle Shanahan kind of offense and work with what you got and kind of this fun, exciting offense. So, obviously, I think he's going to be low-key pushing for this young, flashy quarterback in Spencer Rattler that has this potential that you never know.
I like that.
But it's a lot more flashy and it's a lot more fun than just letting Derek Carr throw. Yes, Derek Carr can throw the ball. I think his time is done, okay? Derek, it's time to warm the bench. Take your rightful place on the bench. Let the kid shine. Let the team get some new juice. Let the city get some new juice.
Oh.
And don't get me wrong, if Spencer Rattler is what he somewhat did in the preseason, they're going to be just fine. And I think they can very well compete with Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara on this team with Clint Kubiak coming in as a new OC. It could be an exciting team to watch, and they can surprise a lot of people. Give me the Saints winning the NFC South this year as my first hot take.
That's a hot one, Brandon.
Thanks. Sweating.
That is a hot one. And with that, I will move on to my number 2 hot take. And this one, maybe not as hot as the first one, but it sure is a long shot. But it could totally happen. Let me explain the scenario. Let me lay it out for you, Brandon.
Okay.
The head coach, the D coordinator, and the quarterback are all on 1-year contracts. They all expire at the end of next year. And nobody has been re-signed.
That's not good.
All leadership positions, a little bit spooky, some might say.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys, I predict this year the Cowboys will get purged. Dak, head coach, D coordinator, the whole squad, besides, of course, Jerry Jones, because he stays, all gone. Now,
I like it.
Now, does Micah Parsons stay? Probably. You got to pay. You got to put that money somewhere. You know what I mean? He's a great player. But overall, the Cowboys get purged, and it's a whole different team next year. I think Jerry goes for a little bit of flash in the draft. Maybe he gets a quarterback. Maybe a Shador Sanders or something like that. Maybe a Quinn Ewers. A Texas to Texas connection. So many possibilities. But that is my prediction. The Cowboys get purged. End of discussion. I'm going to throw it back to you, Brandon.
I like it. I think that's a very good hot take. I think it's very potential to happen. I don't think Cowboys fans would hate it either.
No, they
With
wouldn't.
that being said, I'm going to stick in the NFC. I'm going to go up there to Seattle. New head coach this year in Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Very excited. There's some excitement building around Seattle. They're still young. They got some young pieces. They got Geno. But what I'm looking at is in that backfield. And that man is none other than Kenneth Walker. That dude, I think, will finish the year as a top three running back in rushing yards this year from Seattle. I think Kenneth Walker is one of the most talented backs in the league, and he can just do it week after week. He's proven it. He can just run the ball hard. He's a fast runner, and he runs hard. He gets in the end zone. Again, he might not score the most touchdowns. You never know. He could score the most touchdowns. I don't know. But I'm going for rushing yards. I think he finishes top 3. That's my hot take. It's a whole new offense. It's going to – the sky's the limit for Kenneth Walker this year. Because I think he started the year last year kind of unhealthy a little bit. I think his leg had a problem. But this year, I think he's blowing it – the word is he's blowing it up at camp. Seattle – it's in a tough division, but I think Kenneth Walker's just going to eat him up, right? Okay, so I'm going to say Kenneth Walker finishes top 3 in the running back rushing yards at the end of the season. Give me K9 for the top 3 spot. Cade, what's your number 3?
Brandon, scrumptious take right there. Super spicy, some might say.
Okay.
Let's go to my third and final hot take. This one's going to be pretty bold. I'm just going to say it. Bo Nix has just as good a season as Aaron Rodgers. Now, what does that mean? Let's take it back to 2021, Brandon. Long time ago. It feels like we're getting old. And there's a QB that goes by Mac Jones, who had a 3,800-yard season, 22 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Now, Mac Jones is not a great quarterback.
No.
We know this. But when he came into a system that was friendly to him with a good coach that catered to him, he had a good season. That is what Bo Nix is looking like, already on trend. The last time Aaron Rodgers touched a football field, and I know, Hall of Fame, great quarterback, one of the best throwers of the football, if not the best. 2022 on the Packers, 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Almost identical to Mac Jones' rookie year. I think there's a real shot that Bo Nix could have a very solid season as a rookie. Maybe he's not a great quarterback for the rest of his time, but at least start off on a good foot and have a better season than a hobbled, injured, older Aaron Rodgers. That's my take, Brandon.
Ooh, I like that. That might have been my favorite of the bunch.
Thank you.
I like
Thank
that.
you.
I like those stats out there, too. With
But
that
I want you
being
to
said,
finish it off right.
now, I'm going to try. Now, I think we jump over to the AFC for my final hot take. This one's going to turn a little bit of confusion because of the recent contract negotiations and their star players sitting out of everything. Okay, and we got about 48 hours from this time is recording. Less than 48 hours that football is going to kick off.
That's right.
Clock's ticking. Your team plays this week, and that's none other than the Cincinnati Bengals and Jamar Chase. I'm talking about, of course. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals take it all the way to the AFC Championship this year. That is, of course, if they pay Jamar Chase. If it's week 4 into the season and he's still sitting out, chalk this one up for an L. Okay, but if they can sign him within these next couple days, even next week, I think Joe Burrow can still win a game with. Joe Burrow is a talented quarterback. He can win games without Jamar Chase. I think he's going to prove it to him. Either way, I think Jamar Chase gets signed here very soon. The Bengals can't. They're going to need him. I think, especially if they're going to push this hard in the playoffs. I think the Bengals healthy are a scary team. Joe Burrow is going to be completely healthy this year. it's just going to be a fun team to watch again. Never count the Bengals out of a game, and never count them out, especially in the playoff games.
That's right.
I think Mahomes kind of is a little scared of this team, especially doesn't want to play him in the playoffs because we've kind of seen what happens. You never know. Okay, if Joe gets dialed in, good luck. Okay, so I think the Cincinnati Bengals at least make it to the AFC Championship. Win, that's depending on who they play, but I think the Cincinnati Bengals make it to the AFC Championship this year, given that they pay Jamar Chase. Mark it down for the final hot take of this session. And with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. Cade, would you like to say anything about the weeks to come, about college football this week, NFL this week? Anything else before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Pro tip, make your sandwich in advance so it's ready at halftime.
I like that.
Get us out of here, Brandon.
I like that a lot. Guys, we appreciate you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you more than you know. If you like the video, leave a like, comment your favorite hot take, your favorite scheduled event this week, whether it's NFL, if you're an NFL guy, an NCAA guy, or NFL, I've been playing too much NCAA 25. Whether it's college football game, whether it's an NFL game, give us your favorite take of the week, what you think, what hot takes you think, any of your hot takes, we'd love to hear them. Add us on Twitter at HardCountLive. We have an Instagram, Twitter, Threads we don't really use anymore, so just those first two, and TikTok, of course, at HardCountLive. And, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you watched this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe for more Hard Count content. We will see you next week after these beautiful games and NFL kicks off. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. See y'all. Peace.